Alrighty, welcome back to the FPL Script. This is season 4, episode 5. We're looking at our Gameweek 3 preview for the 25-26 season. Um, yeah, I mean, coming off of Gameweek 2, God, I had an awful week. An awful week prompted probably by my own awful play. So I had Q over Poro in the team. And then obviously, because I did an early transfer, I didn't get the jam from what would have been, let's say, either Poro or Romero.
Mm.
As a consequence of my own actions. But like, I'm not too fussed about that. It is 4 points lost at the end of the day, but I think even in the worst case, it was sort of you maybe losing like, I don't know, let's say 2 EV-ish, I suppose. And the Rutter move, actually, in hindsight, I think was a good move on EV terms, but then clearly terrible in outcome. Yeah. How was your week, JD?
Yeah. Hi everyone. So it's strange you say it was a bad one, right? Because I posted about this that as soon as Burnley cleaned, I knew it was unrecoverable for the week because I'm pretty sure everyone who I'm competing against owns at least one Burnley defender, if not two. So an early PSA. Can people in the chat let us know if my voice is as atrocious as it was last week, so we can make some changes on the fly because I don't want to subject anyone to what I subjected to last week, which was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. So hope it's much better this week. We did spend some time trying to make sure that the voice sounds much better this week. So please let me know. It's not about the mic, I can assure you. So anyway, coming back to FPL, I guess the mic discussion is more riveting than FPL last week. So there's that. I don't know, man. I just it's so weird. It's such a contrasting game week. I went from like 81,000 to 1.1 million. So this numbers don't mean anything to me anymore. I just think I'm not going to complain too much, obviously, because AKTK has been doing so well, and it's at a time when literally no one else from forwards is scoring any points. So I'm just going to enjoy it while it lasts because now that I'm Voltemade, right? What I'm trying
Yeah.
to remember. Yeah, Voltemade is going to
Ultimad? I don't
Newcastle.
know. Yeah.
Voltemade, yeah. Um, it makes Isaac move almost certain. So that means AKTK is probably not going to be an option after the international break, pending some sort of revelation by Slot that AKTK he sees AKTK as first choice left winger or something like that. But even in that case, it's reverse OOP, right? It's not as attractive. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. In summary, that game is pretty painful, but
It was really bad. I mean, I don't know. It's so weird. Like whenever you go for like a differential strategy like bench boost one, you expect like things to go really wrong, but then everyone else has a better game week, and that's what I was kind of expecting once Burnley kept a clean sheet. That okay, everyone else is going to do exceedingly well in this game week because that's how things go, and this differential strat is going to fall apart. But very strangely, like all of us have done pretty badly, and by all of us I mean, you know, the people we talk to regularly about FPL, which is quite strange given that I was on such a different strategy. But ultimately, I mean, we do share a lot of those same players, so it makes sense.
yeah. I mean, do we know how many people have actually used chips so far?
I think from Game Week 1 stats I saw was like 5% of them bench boosted. I don't know about Game Week 2 actually. So maybe Game Week 2 would be much more given that Dubravka and Esteva were guaranteed to start at that point. So maybe a lot more people hit the bench boost.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I was cursing Maresca for the Tosin stuff, and the same thing happened to Game Week 2 bench boosters as well. Much worse, I would say, because they lost like 10.5 million of their bench boost against someone like me who only lost like 4.5 million in Game Week 1. So I have to mention that I got bench jam after I think 3 or 4 years that I can remember. Now I know that FPL Jack keeps telling me that he's pretty sure I have gotten some bench boost jam or bench jam before, but I actually cannot find one. So I'm going to celebrate it like anything.
Yeah. Fair. Um. All right. We're gonna skip on through to the Premier League goal, kind of season long projections trend. Unfortunately, I think the big caveat here is there's a lot of players missing. So you can see on that sort of
Yeah.
August 28 kind of metric, a couple of key players missing. Those players being mostly from Brentford. Um, I think even
And Larson because of the
of
the
the
move.
news.
It's
But
it, it's gonna fall apart now, but it'll take time.
yeah, like even Palmer, Watkins. These are well,
Yeah,
actually Watkins is Villa, but Palmer, I guess, is that's just around his injury, I
the
suppose.
injury. Yeah,
Yeah,
same with Saka. Saka's not in this graphic, but
yeah.
obviously Saka's markets have been suspended, as have a lot of other players like Dango, for example, which was very
Mm,
strange to me. But I guess markets are really struggling to recalibrate how to distribute goal share between someone like Igor Thiago and Dango
yeah.
and Kevin Schade. So maybe there's that. But again, I have not been like I'm not someone like Rob T who's been or JC who's been keeping track of this for years. I'm pretty new to this sort of day-to-day activity. So I'm pretty sure there's an explanation for that, but unfortunately, I don't know what the explanation is.
Fair. But I guess we can just discuss, what's been interesting, right? In terms
Yes.
of some of the numbers. It feels like there's been a bit of a pullback towards City, right?
Hmm.
But mostly Haaland, I guess. But I think that's just a reflection of like City, like that game was also sort of a reflection of us looking at City and thinking that they're once again still not as good as we thought they could be um,
Yes.
this season. But even Salah, for example, like that's another player who's down a bit. No surprise, because he's been pretty unimpactful
Hmm.
on the underlyings like so far. Whereas Gyok, he's gone the other direction, right? And kind
Yes.
of in tune with our own discussions within group chats on where Gyok's being placed. I feel like even his initial season long numbers were quite strong, even optimistic, and now they look better. But part of this is Havertz, part of this is guaranteed pen share for a few weeks too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say that, for example, I included Muniz in this because, if I'm being honest, that was the one thing, one of the few examples this week that I thought, okay, maybe this is actually worth discussing. That someone like Muniz, because there was again uncertainty around his move to Leeds, or is he going to stay at Fulham? Looks like at least markets think now that he's definitely going to stay at Fulham because they've literally made only one signing, which is the backup goalkeeper, and have had a few players go out on free. So technically they've spent net zero, but they've also like it's literally they've done nothing. So I think this is sort of an acknowledgement of that, and it's kind of decent, right? If you can guarantee starts for someone like Muniz, I might be interested when the fixtures are better. And again, this is I had him last season, and the pattern is he started the first three games, got subbed earlier and earlier, and then got benched for Jimenez. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen again, but the further we go into Jimenez's career, I think the less the chances are that something like this could happen now. So maybe there's more room for optimism, but other than that, I'm not too sure what to take from this week's numbers because I've been looking at someone like Reinders again. Reinders is just a consequence of not doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
but you can see that they haven't moved, right? Which I think
Yeah.
again is a very strong indicator of the belief that they have now in his minutes.
Yeah.
Like you said, like Holland fell back by one goal because I don't know, maybe they thought the Spurs game had a large majority of the goal share baked in, and it didn't happen. So I like Reinders, and I was going to cut you off when you were saying that maybe you thought it was a mistake or something like that. I disagree. I just think that the fact that Jorginho just fell apart is luck, obviously, but I also feel like him getting 70 minutes was good enough. I mean, am I happy I started with Reinders? Yes, but if I hadn't, would I have made the same move? Probably. Probably. I'm not going to lie because you see, you already gained point 0.1 in team value, and you see that the numbers are staying strong, which is great.
Yeah. And I will obviously see how that kind of tracks. Like your Champions
Yeah,
League is going to come up, and sort
yeah.
of my bet on Reinders was always going to be around. Hopefully, he plays good minutes
It's
in and around Champions League still,
yeah,
and so let's
yeah.
see. Um,
Oh, Kluivert
um,
is back by the way,
yeah,
which was a big one. Yeah,
mm. Yeah, and
and
it seemingly hasn't really impacted some of the other Bournemouth goals too much, right?
yeah, it hasn't absolutely. I think it's just a redistribution, perhaps, of the goal share. So, for example, Tavernier, I expected him to go up a lot
Yeah,
based on some other players of his quality that we've seen, but the fact that he hasn't makes me think that they think his minutes are going to get affected by the fact that Kluivert is back.
Yeah, he was
So
also subbed at
makes sense.
78 minutes even within that match, right? So Kluivert wasn't available, but
Hmm.
his
Hmm.
minutes were still not perfect. Whereas, as I
Hmm.
mentioned last season, like when there were too many injuries, like he was just clocking 90s. So that I kind of feel like is a probably a reflection of that. Um, West Ham across the board, I think generally quite pessimistic, right? Like it feels like Bowen's taken a hit. Even Paqueta,
Yeah.
considering that he scored a goal. And you know what? I've just got to shout out Florian Wirtz, man. What a
Yeah, I was
player!
going to say, wow, damn.
Woo! No, I'm kidding.
That is an insane downfall. Like in 2 weeks, he's lost like 2 goals, and there is no way they were expecting him to score close to 2 goals, which means that clearly they are adjusting to his minutes, his underlying stats. So, I mean, I'm overjoyed, but at the same time, I do understand why people picked him in the first place.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I think if anything, like the Liverpool team still looks as good as we thought on attack, right? But
In
it's
attack,
just
yep,
we're still
yep.
expecting, honestly, just more goals. I think coming from Gakpo and Ekitike as things stand. 'Cause I
Hmm.
think when we looked at this a couple of weeks back, like I think Gakpo, he had a pretty healthy boost because, as we were saying, seemed like he was going to get good minutes anyways. Um,
Yep.
on present squad construction. Um, any other interesting trends here? O'Reilly, I think
I think,
probably
yeah, Welbeck
soft
and
boost.
O'Reilly, I included both of them for the same reason, which is I think Welbeck went up because of pen share, and I think O'Reilly has kept going up because of the increased confidence in minutes. Because I am trying to understand how to reconcile the fact that he's not the first choice penalty taker, which we knew to be fair.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I think markets were waiting for something to happen in order to react more, which has now happened. He missed the penalty. But again, is him missing the penalty meaning that they've sort of I don't know, hedged their bets in that they think maybe O'Reilly has more of a chance of taking the next one because Welbeck might. I mean, first of all, Welbeck might not be on the pitch, but also even if he is on the pitch, maybe O'Reilly takes the next one. I don't know. Like it's a little strange, but again, I think the more weeks we have, the more data we get, the better we can then hone in on why certain things are happening. So for now, I think we are in the speculation phase. Once we have like data for 4, 5, 6 game weeks, I think we can probably have a better understanding of these things.
yeah, that's fair. I will also mention that I think one thing that I don't know if we even touched on this last week, but I think Mateta and Sar they were hurt a little bit by the Eze out move, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I'd be curious to see, if let's say Crystal Palace signed the two players that they want to have to almost replace Eze in
Mm,
aggregate, like how that
mm,
impacts their numbers. I know Zara scored a goal, so we'll need to sort of think about that,
yeah.
but that will be
Yeah.
something I'll kind of stay in tune with.
So Jeremy Pino and who else is
Well,
incoming?
I'm not sure, right? Because the El Canus deal broke down, but I think they were also in rumors of looking for a solace as well. I don't know. Um,
Oh, okay. That might actually be pretty good.
like I'll probably
Mm,
just quickly peruse, but yeah, it doesn't seem like they're linked in with anyone else in specific
mm,
out wide. But even the Pino deal, I hope that happens because he's had a pretty stagnated career since his ACL injury. So I would like to
mm.
see him do well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. All right. It's time. It's time to always close the Google page when you see Crystal Palace is linked to David Brooks. So,
Oh no. Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
Let's move
Yeah,
on there.
one last thing before we move on.
Mm,
You spoke about
sorry.
Bowen already, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to point out the fact that until last week, even though they played Sunderland, his numbers had not moved,
Mm,
which I think was more of a reflection of them having confidence in his overall season long target. But now that they've seen how bad West Ham is, I think the team strengths are sort of overtaking the belief in his minutes. So it is interesting to track something like that as well, because I think that would affect, because we discussed this a lot last season, that what I and not only understand, but I think what I look at you like when you're trying to look at EV is that you look at how to anticipate rise and fall of EV, right? So in essence, what we are trying to do is we are trying to predict EV changes
Yeah.
because we want to maximize EV. And I think something like this could help us in that, because this is ultimately telling us that, look, maybe the team strength is even worse than what we thought. And so maybe the EV that you see right now on even the best of models is subject to change. And if that is the case, then you need to maybe reconsider some things before you actually move into these players.
Yeah. Yeah. And and that's exactly right. Like I think people were probably expecting West Ham to not be as
Hmm.
bad because on the underlyings we said last week, like they actually weren't that bad, but then they
Hmm.
played Chelsea, and then now everyone's reaction is they're awful, which I think is sensible, but just shows you how much more confidence we get like 2 games in, and we've done the
Yeah.
exact opposite with United, right? So
Yeah. Also,
yeah,
by the way, Bowen has come nowhere close to hitting the defensive contribution target, which
yeah,
when we went through preseason content, he was the one forward we thought who might come close.
hmm,
But based on how West Ham are playing, it seems unlikely as of now. Yeah, but things might change, obviously, but as of now, it looks pretty unlikely.
yeah, that's fair. All right, let's shift over to assists. So I guess a small positive for Salah, although he did get an assist anyways within the match, was slight movement there.
Yeah.
Palmer markets pulled Grealish up, but he got 2 assists. But I think that's just confidence in his minutes probably as well.
Minutes. Yeah.
Um, Kudus though, that's pretty impressive.
See, I think this is one thing I realize now is also an interesting thing to track is when players blank, and
Yeah,
despite blanking, if they continue to go up.
true.
I think that's sort of a really strong indicator of how markets think a player's individual numbers are going to be, which is obviously of interest to us. But at the same time, it's a mixture, right? You have to also try to separate out if it is confidence about minutes or if it is confidence about their underlines. So I think in this case, it's probably a mixture of both, because the longer Spurs go towards the transfer deadline without signing more players, the more certain we are that Kudus will probably play almost every minute in the Premier League.
I think that's fair. I mean, it, maybe part of it too is like a lot of the moves being shut down for Spurs, but I don't know. Like we'll have to kind of see whether if they sign, let's say, a 10, like how that impacts some of his numbers. But he's clearly like the pick, I think, from Spurs, where at the sort of price point that he's at, he looks incredible.
Mhm. He does. Yep. Also,
Um,
words again. I included words just to showcase it's not looking good, bruv.
right. Yeah, but I guess that's also 2 games of football, right? So you
It is.
expect
It is. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that because he's very much like kind of like a Rogers or a Bruno,
Yeah.
and like you expect semi decent goal share, semi decent assist share.
Yeah.
If he's not taking it long, well, that's unfortunately how the season's going to unfold. Although at the same time, like those 2 players I've mentioned so far have blanked, right? Like Bruno and
Mm.
Rogers, uh, and they haven't moved so harshly in response to those sorts of players. Semenyo, he's gone up, but he also got an assist on the weekend. Like we're not even touching on the Arsenal fullbacks here, but Calafiori clearly just looks like a mad one, and I think it's really just minutes now, right? And just like
It is
insane
100%.
insane
100%.
performances as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Marmoush,
Minutes and
that's
obviously the 2 assists he got, which is
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
But also, like, it seems like what? Because there is that Hincapie deal actually still going to happen for Arsenal?
I have no idea. I haven't
Yeah,
seen a single update on it ever
yeah,
since like the initial news broke.
yeah.
So
Because it felt like we were close, and then I haven't heard anything recently
yeah, same. Yeah.
on it. But like if Calafiori is fit, and that's pretty much the only problem that we deal with when it comes to Calafiori, like that will be
Yes.
exciting. Marmoush, that's just a continuously sad story on his minutes. Because now, yeah, you're looking at starts, and as we were kind of saying, like, he can get subbed off at 50, 60 minutes, just like that. And there's not many positions for him to play on the pitch, especially with Bob being back on the right. And, we've already seen Marmoush on the right, and it's not great.
Yeah.
Anything else interesting to you? Maybe
Arias.
Cucurella?
I think
Arias, yeah.
Arias is the one where, the initial decline was because he didn't start.
Hmm.
And then as soon as he started, they went back up to even further than where he was, even though he didn't get an
True.
assist or anything. So I just think maybe it's the confidence of him him playing in that number 10 spot, which is good. And I don't know if it has something to do with Strand Larsen somehow, but like if that were the case, then Strand Larsen's numbers would be up. But the fact that they're still down, I don't know how to interpret this. So maybe it's just his individual minutes and performance.
Yeah. Anything else you'd
Uh,
like to?
Diouf. I
Hmm.
included Diouf just to showcase that again. I think it's a mixture of minutes and the fact that his underlines are insane. Like from a different league, obviously, but I think left wing back is more close to what his position used to be than it would be if he were playing left back. So if he continues to play that role, I just don't see how those numbers are not going to keep going up. The problem is they're conceding 4 or 5 goals. So this week he got an assist, which was great, and then they conceded 5 goals. So it's sort of completely negating whatever he could have gained from that assist. So again, I would not recommend anyone to buy him, but again, I own him, so I have to see how that goes.
Fair. Pat Massar. I mean, I still think that's like positional sort of
Yeah.
trend.
Dewsbury
Most.
Hall as well. I think Dewsbury Hall again, more of a 10 share maybe included in that. Maybe subject to change once they sign. Who are they going to sign? I'm spacing right now, but they are signing someone who could
Well, yeah, they signed Dibbling on the right.
dribbling.
But
Sorry, yeah,
more of
which
a
means that maybe Grealish could play 10 and then he could move towards the eights.
yeah,
But even if that doesn't happen, I think that's a fair reflection of his role in the team because he takes set pieces as well. And I think he got one pre-assist in the game against Brighton. So yeah, I think that checks out.
makes sense. Kind of feel like Paqueta dropping is just the West Ham team strength thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, everything else we've probably spoken to.
yeah,
Like Evan Nilsson just hasn't done anything over the first two games. They're actually, I mean, Wolves was a great game, so I can understand underlines. Well, I mean, project like
yeah,
expected
yeah.
numbers dropping. On the Doof point, I guess it's interesting because obviously I do own him in some other game formats, right?
Him, yeah.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, he's just insane in terms of volume. So I think we're not going to see like the same quality in terms of like expected numbers, but I just tend
Hmm.
to think if you do cross the ball like X amount of times a game, a bit more than other people, you're still expected to get assists like that. Like in the same way where I think when I look at Dorgu's EV, and we always kind of criticize how the underlyings aren't pretty, like he's still a massive shot spammer. So eventually, like he's just gonna get a goal, right?
Yeah,
um,
I guess what I also like simplified it to is how close you are to the actual goal, right? Because
true.
it's simple math. The closer you are, the more probability that whatever action you do take could advertently or inadvertently lead to a shot on target.
Mm, yeah,
So that I think checks out for both Dorgu and Diouf, where both of them are trying to get as close as they can to the goal, which means that we could get some fantasy assists, if not real
true.
real
Yeah,
assists. So
yeah.
there's always that possibility. Especially with Dorgu, right? We saw in the Arsenal game, he hit the post. I think he was pretty good in terms of positioning. I think he is still a little lost because he is perhaps not expecting that sort of space. Uh, I don't know if that has to do with the lack of respect from opposition or just the fact that we are trying something new. But that didn't happen that often in the Fulham game, right? So again, it's one to watch. We have to see more games to see if this is going to happen consistently. I just think obviously if you have him for Burnley, you keep him, but buying him is an entirely different question right now. And I don't know how you could buy him right now with the games we have on the horizon, with Chelsea, with Man City, with Liverpool after Sunderland. It's not pretty at all for now.
That's fair, and that's exactly why I bought Cunha in my team.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm kidding. Um, anything else you want to discuss, or should we jump into? It's a bit of a quiet week, I think, in terms of like things like that. Like a lot of people probably are making some initial decisions in terms of the chip strategy, but most
Yes.
people with two free transfers, I guess, structurally, it feels like everyone's headed towards the bench boost five. Or am I wrong?
So Bench Boost 5 was always on the cards, I think, based
Hmm.
on. And I understand that people are now reshuffling Palmer Giu to
That's
Kunha and
yeah.
someone, or Barnes and someone, a lot of different structures there. But I was thinking that if you were to, let's say, wildcard 6, bench boost 5 was always an option anyway. And if you were to bench wildcard 13 or later, then either you get a bench boost in whenever you feel like 15, you have 15 starts and good EV obviously, or you then wait for bench boost 15, I think, which was the next good time to bench boost, or bench boost 12, basically somewhere close to the wildcard. So it makes sense, I think. And with the Palmer thing, I think people just got a great opportunity to bench boost in game week 5.
Fair. Which kind of brings us to like our free hit draft 3 kind of template. So this is your own minutes or
Okay, so I did not delete all the xMins,
hmm.
but I don't think I had made a lot of changes other than maybe Router. I think Router was still at, I don't know why he was at like 60 minutes because
Okay.
he kept showing up in my like starting 11. So I had to decrease his availability so he would go onto the bench. Other than that, I don't think I've messed with a lot of minutes. Kuna, I think I did because I still think Kuna is on much lower minutes than he should be on review.
Okay.
So I did have to boost them up to 85. So I put Kuna at 85, which is I think still a very conservative estimate. It should be like 88 or something. And I think I pushed Bruno to 90. He was at 87, which I don't know why he went from like 89 to 87 on default minutes. So I pushed them back to 90. But I mean, obviously, he was going to be captain anyway, right? When you bench boost.
Yeah. So let me just read the team out. So I guess it you start Sanchez in this case.
Yeah, I think that is
Okay,
Sanchez start.
so yeah, Sanchez starts, oversells. Then you've got Poro, Nico Williams, Murillo, backed up by Dorgu on the bench with Alderete. In the midfield, you've got Bruno, Cunha, Kudus, Dango, and then another bench fodder player here in Dewsbury Hall. The forward line being Haaland, Job, Pedro, and Watkins. The only thing I'd say probably look at this draft is I would think
Barnes.
Wood would probably get in over Watkins potentially
Mm,
if you felt Wood was like a 90-minute player. So I think
yeah.
he'd go there. Barnes. I feel like I had a look in today. Yeah, he would get in over Dango, but Dango is like probably a case of our own personal beliefs. Like we just think
Yep.
he's that
Yep.
good. So I think there's definitely a choice on that. I think 3-4-3 is the way to go because I think the kind of, I mean, if you go Holland, it almost guarantees a 3-4-3. If you go Salah,
Mm,
we're
mm,
probably 3-5-2, and I think Salah Holland EV is like basically the same this week.
mm.
Um, what else did I think was interesting on free
So
hit?
one thing, also, I did move Barnes's minutes up to like 82
Yep.
from 70 because obviously the 3 games before Gordon comes back, I think he's pretty nailed on to play almost the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. And his EV was more for Game Week 4 than Game Week 3, which I found to be very interesting.
Yeah, because that's home versus away, right?
Yeah,
Aspects. Yeah,
exactly, exactly. So
but also Wolves just so bad on paper.
yeah, that's actually true. So either way, you're absolutely right. I think Dango is a personal preference. Also, I think that he is a player where I am starting to have more belief that his underlying defensive contribution numbers are just going to carry through because he is just that type of player, regardless of in which team he's playing.
Mm.
But again, I don't have a lot of evidence right now, so I'm going to hold off on that belief until I get more evidence. And I think by the time I believe, I think my review will also believe in the same thing, and his expected value will probably go up. But for now, I just think like those defensive contribution, the defensive contribution part of his expected value is slightly underrated right now, which is fair. As a data model, I would do the same. But again, if your personal belief, you feel like if he's going to hit the threshold, then that should probably break the tie between him and someone like Barnes.
Yeah. Now that I'm looking at this, I guess if you don't care so much about the bench weight, I think you can just move Watkins to Wood, probably Dango to Mbemo, and
Hmm.
then I think you're there. You just move Cells
Dorgu,
to
you need to do Dorgu out because
yeah.
you've
You
got
need to Dorgo out as well,
yeah.
but I mean, you probably need
Doesn't
what
matter, right? You're
you
going to bench that player. Yeah.
yeah, but you do need one good defensive auto sub, I suppose. So who would that be this week? Who's cheap? Maybe Agbadu.
I mean, Livramento.
Yep, the Memento could work. But I feel like so you probably need a 4.5, right? So I'd
Oh,
say
okay. Mm.
maybe just go Agbadu because he's versus Everton.
Yeah. Yeah.
That should get you enough money, right? Because if you drop Cells, it's like Cells is what 5.0, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, drop him back to Dubravka. You save 1 million. Watkins to Wood, you save 1.3. So you get 2.3 to upgrade. Yeah, Dango to
Hmm.
Mbemo, and I think that's you're probably happy with this. Um, yeah, I'd have to say that's kind of what I would be looking at, and I think that's a pretty strong team. Interesting that Poro's like top of EV this week for defenders. I feel like most people looking at a free hit don't have Poro in their team. So, any thoughts on that?
Would you get him though? Like I was trying to think about this, and I would want to bet against that effective ownership,
Yep.
assuming that I could find suitable alternatives that don't lose me expected value. If I'm losing too much expected value, then it doesn't make any sense. But I think if you can get close to that expected value, it's definitely on the cards. And that bet against effective ownership is pretty good, I think. Also, if you want, so in this team, you could technically start triple forest, right? I think that is the ultimate stack
Yeah.
if you were to do that.
That's a good
But
point. Yeah,
again,
I guess
that means you can't do Chris Wood. So I
Mhm.
am with you on that. I think I would definitely go for Chris Wood over someone like Watkins right now.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it's like you go triple United attack or double United attack with
Hmm.
the defender, and I guess you're doing that with Forest. But I'd probably take that chance anyways with Wood. Like his minutes look pretty much perfect so far. Um, and then like Poro, yeah, if you're betting against, I guess you could still just go Kukure at the end of the day. It's not
Oh,
quite the
that's a nice
same,
idea actually. Hmm.
maybe. Um, could you even afford it though on the draft structure that I suggested? Maybe,
Hmm.
maybe not.
One thing also I forgot to mention is I upped Pedro's minutes for this week only,
And
and
I
I
think that's
gave
fine.
him
Yeah,
like 90% pen share, given that I think Palmer is going to miss out. Because all of this is centered around the fact that Cole Palmer is going to miss out. If he doesn't miss out, then obviously um, his Jao Pedro's expected value will go down a lot.
yeah, I'm totally with that.
Yeah.
Cool. So we move on to captaincy for this week.
Yeah.
So captaincy is, I mean, it's an interesting one, right? Because I think the reaction to, let's say, the United game was, I mean, obviously abysmal. But then I still do concur with the arguments that that first strength team is still good. Like if you actually played the 11 that you've pretty much been playing the last 2 weeks out. I don't know if you
You
disagree.
know, the problem with all of this is it's very difficult to separate outcome from, uh, let's say, predictive thought process right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because, okay, any United team should have been good enough to beat them in 90 minutes. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I agree.
But also, if you want to look at the second half, where we brought on like almost all of our first team, the rest of our first team players, it was a literally waterlogged pitch. And I don't want to take anything out of that.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying we should have not won. I'm just saying I don't want to conclude anything based on that. That's all I'm saying. It's abysmal to hope like Maguire scores a header every single game. It's getting tiresome, honestly. But you can separate those two things. And the only reason I hesitate to even say this, even on our pod, is because I know people will try to conflate those two things. This is not a justification of how bad we played yesterday. I'm just trying to separate the expectation from the lived experience. So if you are capable of doing that, you should do it, I think, and that would lead you to captaining Bruno, which I'm going to do, and I'm assuming you're going to do as well.
Well, yeah, I kind of have to, don't I? I mean, I'm
Yeah,
already committed to the bit because I have two players on this graphic. Well, three.
yeah, exactly. Three,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. All right. Shout out Cunha. But I think like yeah, when I think about United, obviously that performance was abysmal, but I don't know. Put some grass into it, I guess. Like when your back's been against the wall, for the most part, it's looked pretty good. Um, And honestly, at the end of the day, it's Burnley. If I'm going to struggle in FPL because I had two attackers versus Burnley at home, you know what? So be it.
It is what it is, right? Exactly, it is what it is. You can't do anything about it because Holland plays Burnley in game week 6, and I think almost every single FPL manager's plans are all centered around that game.
True.
So again, I'm not comparing United to City, but I think we can all agree that City has been the most disjointed it's been uh, since Pep's first season. I think Pep's first season was still overall, I think the worst because they got smashed by Everton 4-0, and I don't think anyone is going to forget about that. But overall, I think this is like as disjointed as I've seen them. So it is what it is, man. It's just expected value at the end of the day. I'm going to take that, regardless of what the
Yeah,
outcome is.
that's right. Never forget Man City versus Southampton 0-0. One of my favorite
Oh my
results
god. Oh
of
yeah,
all time.
yeah, yeah.
Although I don't think I earned double City clean sheets. So yeah, I mean, what is there to even say? Like you,
I think
so
Kuna Bruno is a good discussion point, and I'm being honest in that I don't think it is a discussion point from an expected value standpoint. And we've had this discussion at length in our group chats as well. But I just think like it is really a point of contention with how much you believe Bruno's expected value comes from his share as a center mid in a 3-4-3, his share as a center mid in this Manchester United team, and his share as a number 10 in that team. So it's all about reconciling those three things. And if we think that Sheshko is not going to start because again, uh, the, yesterday's performance was not encouraging, whatever the reason may be. If he doesn't start, then Kunha might again start in that fluid front three where he spends some time as a number 9. So we need to reconcile all of these things, and I don't want a data model to account for all of these things because these things are all ephemeral. They're here right now, they won't be here tomorrow. And if a data model is too reactive, we won't be able to trust that data model. So I would much rather a data model not react to these things, but I think we as players need to react to these things. But how we react is entirely up to how we feel the expected value should move.
yeah. I mean, like, gosh, at the end of the day, Bruno's still a penalty taking
Yeah, yeah,
player.
and he scored 2 penalties yesterday, by the way. Just to reiterate the fact.
No, I
And
know.
yeah, yeah, not to you, obviously. You know
Yeah,
how elite he is at penalties. It's like people just forget how elite he is at scoring penalties. It's insane.
yeah. I mean, like I think I had a look at what Bruno would be like for this game without penalties, and I think that took maybe like 0.7 off of his EV, maybe 0.8.
Oh
So
wow,
quite
okay.
quite significant. But I think at the end of the
Hmm.
day, when you're looking at captaincy now and how EV like is sort of conjured, right? Like clearly Cunha is better in open play. Um, I don't think like any models are missing on this piece, right? It's just
No,
like,
they're not.
he's got a very good chance of getting DefCon anyways. And that's going to shoot him even slightly over Acuna, for example, who might play a full 90. Um, there's just so many little ways that Bruno can get points, and you almost have to dismiss all of them entirely to believe he's like
Hmm.
just a bad pick, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I'm just not willing to do that. So
So
um,
just for anyone listening, Kunha's expected value is like 17% lower than Bruno's, which is more than sizable, I would say. And it is not even close, which is why I think it is important to talk this through. But at the same time, if apart from the intangibles, if you want to make an argument, I think it's just that you don't want to captain Bruno,
pretty
which
much.
is which is fair. Again, we spoke about personal preferences, but if those personal preferences are going to come at the cost of a lot of expected value, then you need to decide what is your target for this season, I guess.
Yeah.
Because based on our ranks, it's not points.
I mean, it always goes back to that discussion of like, how would you approach captaincy yourself? Like, are you always going to pick the player who's the higher chance of scoring? As for example, like um our lovely friend Sian is saying, or do you almost factor in all the little things that give slivers of EV? Because like I think when I think about all my captaincies ever, like at the end of the day, most of the time I go against Salah, I think he still has better goal scoring odds than most of my mids. But at the same time, like everyone goes for Salah anyways, whilst knowing that
Hmm.
he's a midfielder and that forwards have better odds, right?
Yeah.
Because of just
Yeah.
that 4 versus 5 thing. But I don't know. Like I think at the end of the day, you just almost have to believe that the holes are just the accumulation of everything. And you
Hmm.
probably still take Bruno. Like there's some crazy games. Like Bruno last season versus Leicester is a good example of, I don't know, some guy who can. Was he playing deep that game?
I don't think so.
I
I
don't
don't
think he
think so.
was.
Yeah.
So that's a plus sometimes, but kind of just have
But
to.
also again, different form. So okay, which Leicester game are we talking about?
Second one when I think Amarim had
Oh, second
just
one. Yeah, yeah,
joined.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, okay. But so he was playing in a back three. So I'm just trying to make sure that we
yeah,
are talking about the same system because
yeah,
the one where Ruud van Nistelrooy was in charge was like
yeah.
a
Four
back
two
four.
three
So,
one. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. I think
I think
because
4-2-3-1 is still elite at extracting everything from Bruno in terms of at least fantasy football. But yeah, if this were a football tactics discussion, I have a lot of opinions. But as far as fantasy football, I think it's much simpler. And it's like you said, if you want to go for like expected value, the choice is clear. But if you think that targeting the player who has more chance of scoring is the only thing that matters, then I guess Kuna is better.
yeah. Although I think even when I had a quick perusal of like Rob T's latest
PG, right?
graphic, it was the
Yeah.
same if I
Oh,
remember.
okay. See, but then again, I think people will argue that you have to look at NPEG rather than EG, because obviously
Uh,
Bruno's expected goals are sort of dominated by penalties, right?
and yeah,
Yeah.
but then like you he's capable of getting a penalty
Exactly.
too. So
Like
it's
how
just
many
like
excuses you're going to make, right?
yeah,
Where does it end? That's my point. And I think I spoke about this last year. I think in our group chat that the more you make it a convoluted process, the more difficult it becomes to reconcile every single decision you make with a data model. Because where do you stop? Like, what is the stopping point? Which I think is a great question to ask yourself. I think it's a personal preference, but at the end of the day, I think I've been guilty of not stopping a lot in previous seasons, and I'm trying to do better in those terms. Where
mm,
this I think is a classic week where in previous seasons I might have been swayed by what not saw, by the way, because I don't trust my eyes, but what I am perceiving to be in terms of expected value. But I think I'm just going to go with Bruno because the expected value is just too much.
yeah. I basically have no reason to respect Burnley. And I realize
Yes.
that Grimsby Town is Grimsby Town. So
Yeah.
let's just see how it goes, really. All right, xMins for this week. Is there too much to talk about? I kind of thought it'd be helpful if I just pointed out a few players that I thought were maybe a bit underrated.
Yeah.
In terms of their
We
mins
did
so
discuss
far.
like Barnes, Joao Pedro. We went through them, like at least for the short term, right?
Yeah, I think Kudus is another one that you had in your draft, right? That
Mm.
like his defaults feel low. Like Gakpo and Ekitike, I don't know. I still feel like you just have to kind of wait until 4, and you're not going to really make great moves to them this week unless you're going to do the double free transfer move for Palmer out into someone good. Um,
No, I think for Gakpo Ekitike, you bring up a good point. So what I did for Ekitike for my team was I initially reduced his average minutes to 55,
right.
and then I boosted his minutes against Arsenal to 80. So now his drop is from like 80 to 55, because I firmly believe that when the Isaac move happens, this just you can't legislate for any sort of confidence in his minutes. Once like until we see him or see what actually happens after that move takes place. So it's just such a bad move to make, honestly. Like unless like I just don't understand why you would bring in Ekitike right now. Uh, yeah, and then same with Gakpo. It's just I think both of them are probably really bad assets once Isaac moves to Liverpool.
That makes sense to me. I feel like Dango's maybe a touch low, but he's probably more of an EV thing, if
So
anything.
you got Thiago as well, by the way. You got Thiago is pretty low, and
Yep.
I don't understand why that is. There's absolutely no reason right now for him not to be in the mid 80s. I would say if you want like some lack of confidence of them signing another player, that's fine. But until you see it happen, I just don't see why he would not play like majority of the game.
Yeah, I can't see like insane decay for him. Could
Yeah.
it be something that hurts him significantly? I mean, João Pedro's another one, right? Like where
Yeah.
he's going to benefit anyways. In the interim,
For bench share, I think that's the big one. It's not just the minutes, you have to also adjust the bench share, which is huge for someone like him.
yeah. Is there anything else?
Uh, I think maybe Stan Larson, because what I did was Stan Larson is the one player. Okay, he's the one player in my team for whom I actually adjusted the minutes downwards
Hmm.
because I think 84 is too high. I don't think even if he's going to play, if there is some sort of niggling injury there, which apparently there is with his Achilles, I just don't see how he's going to play like 84, 85 minutes a game. I think it's going to be like high 70s, and that's why I kept him at like 78.
Okay, that's fair. Good point to
Yeah.
make. From what I've seen it so far, I think everything else looks pretty good across the board.
Yeah, we also discussed like Rooter, his minutes are absolutely done for now, at least in the short term.
Because you can't trust Fabian, or because you think his minutes are too bad.
No, 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 no. Just for the injury thing. Like
Yeah.
the fact that he said he was going to be fit for Oxford and he wasn't even in the squad, that's diabolical. I mean, you're so trash, man. I was honestly like, ugh. Anyway, it makes our decision or my decision easier at least. Like reviews telling me to roll, but I really want to do Jorginho to someone. But we'll see what happens. If he's going to drop, is he close to a drop?
Um, I don't think so.
Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people own him anyway. So
Yeah, and some people sold him anyways, right? So
yeah, now yeah, I keep forgetting
uh,
about that.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think that's pretty much it, right? Because
yeah.
again, from United Euro, I think you probably could boost someone like Euro's minutes, but would you
Oh,
want to bring him in with
no,
those sort of fixtures in the long run?
I was just gonna mention Tosin maybe.
Tosin, yes, yes. He's
Could be
bro.
one.
How is he still at 56, man? What is happening here? Why are we doing this? Why? This why. I mean, every single time I reload X minutes, I have to change his minutes to 80, 80, 80 plus, because there's just no way he's not going to play. With Colville 100% out, Fofana barely being in the plans, and even if Fofana does play, apparently, I spoke with Stats Dan, who used to be one of Jump the Wave predictors and is pretty good at predictions. He said that probably Chaloba and Fofana are going to fight it out on that side, and Tosin and Achiampong are going to fight it out on this side. So I don't know, man, why he's still at 56. This I just see no reason why that should be the case.
Fair
Unless you can
point.
tell me why. I mean, I'm open to ideas, but I don't see any.
I mean, I can't tell you why. This is kind of like similar to I think situations with like City defense as well, like in the past, where
Oh,
I think
Guardiola last season, right? Yeah.
yeah, well, not even last season, but like even like well, Rico Lewis last season for a long time was kind of like in
Oh,
this
fair,
camp, right? Where you think,
fair.
okay, sure,
Yeah.
there's a slim chance that he might not play a game, but for the most part, he should be starting every game because there's no one stopping him from starting. That kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I think that's it for today's episode in terms of discussions that don't relate to Q&A. We could probably jump into that now.
Yes.
Bit of a short one, but I think it's a bit of a simple week in terms of I think you almost need to let your chip strategy decide how you want to go about certain moves, right? Like, or
Correct.
actually, if we take the step back, right? Do you want to discuss Watkins versus Gyokeres quickly, or as well?
Yes. That's a
Okay,
good idea.
yeah.
Yep.
So, I think just for me to finish my overarching point, like you have got two free transfers this week. I think if you're bench boosting, you're suddenly moving out of Palmer, and I get why you want to move the funds in that sort of direction. Not to mention that I think like that there's been times where Palmer has been out even with, let's say, a soft injury, and he could still come back and just start the next game off the bench. Like I don't think that that's crazy. I might be way too pessimistic because I've sold him. Sure, I could be biased. But
Wait, did
that's
you say start off the bench?
start on the bench. Sorry, did I
Okay,
say
no, because that's like something that a lot of like Twitter accounts use the terminology starting on the bench, and
I've
I
I've
absolutely hate that.
oh right. Well, I've said start on the bench, and so you can hate you can hate that.
I can hate the terminology. This
Yeah, you can.
nothing personal.
uh, but yeah, I mean, like that's plausible.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense to kind of commit to certain moves right now, like 2 free transfers into a Gyok plus then get a 5.5, because I
Hmm.
still think there's good 5.5s, and if it has to be Anderson, it has to be Anderson. There's plenty of good sixes as well, like around
Hmm.
the shop. So yeah, that's kind of where my thoughts are on that. At the same time, I think having the flexibility of maybe just making one move if you have 2 free transfers, of let's say if you think Kudus is just a strong stable pick, like I tend to think about things like this, but generally if you're moving to someone and he's got like really good expected points per minute, or per million, sorry, and you can obviously track that on a site like Review, but like if you move into someone like that, you can
Hmm.
never really go wrong in terms of like what the core of your team is doing, right? Because I can then either move into, let's say, 8 attackers next week. I can suddenly just go back into Palmer if I really have to do a yo-yo, um, while still grabbing some really good interim EV. Like what I mean by this is consider a Kudus, consider a Cunha this week, even a Dango to an extent, right? If you think he's underrated, these types of players are good 1 free transfer moves that you can go from Palmer from. But then there's also issues like Rutter, right? So if you think Palmer is more likely to come back alive, and you can't really trust Fabian, like maybe just do a downgrade from Rutter and just chill, because there's nothing really
Hmm.
stopping you from, I don't know, having to copy everyone else's move. Like so many people are doing moves where I think, like honestly, you're almost bringing in 2 players that have bad fixtures this week. Um, and that's for me the case where, like, if you're going Gakpo, if you're going like even Mateta to an extent, even though I know Crystal Palace always bash Villa. Um, what else is there on the cards? Like even Gyokeres this week or Ekitike. Like it's not a particularly good game for either. I know Liverpool have looked pretty sumptuous to play against, if we want to put it like that, but for the most part, you can still just chill. I don't think you're losing so much, and then you'll have all the information you want coming out of 4. Uh, so for me, like in my case, like I've done the Cunha move, but then I still think the 3 million in the bank leaves me the flexibility to go with all the players that I want to go for, which is kind of why I fast forwarded the move anyways. Like if Palmer
Hmm.
plays, yeah, like that will be the case where I look stupid, and that's fine. Like I've already accepted that's a possible outcome, but like I still have enough money in the bank, for example, to do like a Strand Larsen upgrade if I need to, a Reinders upgrade to a Gakpo if I need to. Um,
Give upgrade, right? Because I'm assuming you're considering Mage Boost 5, or are you not?
I mean, if I do a Q upgrade, I guess it would be like me going to Mateta next week and then not doing free at
Correct.
4. But I'm probably gonna
Oh, oh.
I'm probably eyeing up a free at 4 myself within my own transfer plans.
That
Uh,
probably rules out Bench Boost 5 then, because you will only have one free transfer in Game Week 5. So
yeah,
it's not ideal, right?
and I mean, well, to be honest, one thing I thought about is actually like if Gu starts, right, which is possible. Like he actually has a good fixture on
He
5, right?
scored, right? Yeah,
He
exactly.
scored in his cup game, so he has Aston Villa at home on 5, which I think is a positive one. And then all I would really need is one free transfer, anyways, on 5, and that could actually just be like Reinders out, right? Like it could be Reinders out to Gakpo, and suddenly I've got a pretty good team for 5 on a bench boost basis. But we'll see. I'm not really like married to bench boost 5. I'm more married to, I think I have to free at 4 most likely. Um, but
Okay,
I
so I guess the overarching point for this, and for those who might not be following the trail of thought, which is we want to keep one chip for later, right? Because there is some
mm,
potential of a double game or a blank game week
yeah.
if the Crystal Palace EFL Cup fixture coincides with their the Conference League fixture, I guess. That's the idea, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to share Ben's post on it.
Yeah.
Let me
So
try.
so while you do that, I'm just trying to Okay, you already did it. Fine. So I'm just trying to think of. There are two possible paths. You either keep your free hit or you keep your wild card. And for someone like you, if you are dead set on free hit 4, I guess you'll keep the wild card for later. And someone like me, I think I have to probably use it, the wild card at least, because Ekitike is almost done. Jorginho is done for now. Um, I already bought Kuna just like you, so that might be a very short term move, given the fact that the fixtures are not great except Sunderland, which is I think game week 6, or is it game week 7? One of those weeks where they play Sunderland, but then immediately after they play Liverpool. So there's that. In general, I think for me, wildcard is going to be better, but at the same time, yeah, the Ben Street. If I don't know if we want to go through it or
Yeah, I mean, like he's basically saying he wants to use the chip at 6.
yeah.
Given that, obviously, as we said, like that's a big turning point because Holland captaincy, yada yada. And then he plans to use the other chip, as you said, kind of navigating potential blank in gaming 17. But then also, I think like one of the points that he made, like on a wireframe, is like if you go to AFCON and you get the 5 free transfers, what he really wants to do is actually roll those 5 free transfers all the way up until the next blank game week. Like around 27ish, like something like that.
Oh, so keep making one free transfer until that point.
Kind of, yeah, and and,
Okay.
and kind of keep his like FT volume quite high so that he can
Mm.
kind of manage that next window because presumably you wildcard after that. Like initial sort of block of blanks comes through, and then we do something like we did last season, which is to wildcard a bit later, then navigate the potentially small blank, but unlikely. And
I guess
then
you're free eating 34 this time, right? Because surely third time lucky.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, like that's kind of his general plan. But obviously, like I think that doesn't stop a lot of us from actually spunking all the transfers anyways at the start. Like it's still, I think there's still a lot to say you necessarily need like the 5 free transfers rolled all the way from AFCON window. So and you
No, but
might
no,
still
but
be able to do it.
actually that makes sense, right?
It
Because
does make sense. It does make sense.
because what he's saying is until that point, you actually have no obligation to roll free transfers,
Correct.
which means that you essentially are transported back to the time of classic FPL with the maximum ability to roll one free transfer.
Yep.
So you could play that game where you reduce the value of a free transfer and play that game until the point the AFCON transfers hit in game week 16 or prior to the game week 16 deadline. And once that happens, you play the long game, which is at least on paper it looks great. I'm not gonna lie, like I think it's the perfect strat.
Yeah, because like this way you almost cover every single problematic window, like
Hmm.
with like a bit of time to think about your next strategy or your next onboarding of like free transfers, and I get that, but I think like there's still going to be managers who will do something like, who knows, maybe something like free at 4, bench boost 5, wildcard 6, like there's going to be managers who've used 2 or 3 chips, and I don't think that that's like, it's not like it's impossible to play the game if you do find yourself in that position. So that's it's not even a counter argument, but it's just the reality, right? Like you might be in a much worse spot. Like this week, I think some people might actually consider wildcard. Like, why would that happen? Potentially, if you've got Ritter, Palmer, Saka, Nuri, like you honestly are
Hmm.
probably better off like wildcarding, even though this is like a Liverpool versus Arsenal game week, and we don't love to do that on a window like this, but like you can still use the 2 free transfers that you would have rolled, and then like whatever structural shift you need to make, like whether it's like going out of Salah, whether it's actually just bringing in Gakpo and Ekitike, both, like you can still do that like a week after this. So that's kind of my only thought at this moment in time. But a lot of the moves that people make are just going to be based on chip strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my inclination towards not using the second free transfer I have is based on all of this.
Hmm.
If I am unsure on what chip strategy I want to follow, I think it makes more sense for me to roll 2 free transfers. I'm 99% going to wildcard in Game Week 4 because again, I don't have to worry about bench boost, so I can just get that out of the way, and then I have. Fortunately, I already own a 4 million defender, so my bench is pretty thin. But I still own a 4.5 million goalkeeper. I still own a midfielder like Jorginho. It's 6 million. So if I want, I could even thin it out more than I already have. So that's one way to go. But then again, how do you cover game week 6 and game week 15, which are like the two game weeks where I think Holland is almost you need him because he's probably so clear in terms of captaincy, where City play Burnley and Sunderland respectively in game week 6 and 15. So I'm just trying to think around how I can manage that. And once game week 3 deadline is over, we actually get game week 16 in the FPL review horizon, where we can see the 5 free transfers hitting or accumulating into our team. So maybe that's a good way to assess what chip strategy you want to go for. But I think it's still so far away that whatever you decide is probably going to get murdered at least a little bit based on real life events. So just a macro strat is what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah.
And my inclination is wildcard 4 and free hit 17.
Yeah, and are you open to, let's say, like, we completely say we're 5 game weeks in, like, do you just suddenly change your mind on Salah? Like, if he just looks, I don't know, mid.
Okay. I'm going to say something which is really bad in terms of expected value, but I have thought about this, which is
Yeah,
to go with
exactly.
Salah and Holland.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you why. I've already run the solves. The expected value is pretty bad, obviously, because it's like
Hmm.
what is it? 14 and a half and 13 and a half. So
Yeah,
28 million. So more than that, sorry. Holland rose in price as well. So it's even more than that. So I'm not the biggest fan of that, but at the same time, I was looking at what is a good way to cover game week 6. And after game week 6, I can make the determination of who I want to keep. And then whoever I don't want to keep, I then pivot out of that player.
yeah.
So
I just personally think
there's that.
you can definitely go Salahless by 6. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you're wildcard 6, I think that is the best strat. Because I'm wildcard 4, I cannot go without Salah for Burnley and Everton. I think
Hmm.
those games have very, very good expected value baked into them. Once those games are gone, I'm fully on board with what you're saying. So maybe the move could be just to pivot to Holland from Salah and just keep Holland. The only concern I have with that is his minutes around Champions League. And just give me a second. I've been wanting to look at City's Champions League fixtures because they just dropped. Now the only thing that is pending is when those games are going to, as in what day the games are going to be played, which I think is going to be done tomorrow. But
They had pretty easy fixtures from what I could see, other than Real
yeah,
Madrid.
Dortmund, right, to start, I think. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Dortmund at home, which I think is, you're absolutely right. This Dortmund team is not at all what it used to be. Real Madrid away is obviously, I mean, it can't get more difficult than that. I think maybe PSG away right now, but it's very close. I would say. Uh, yeah. Other than that, I could realistically see more minutes in Premier League than I usually would have because these games are it's, uh, how man this City just keeps getting these insanely easy draws. It's actually crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well,
that's not the point. The point is that Holland could actually end up getting more minutes than I thought he would, even with Champions League.
yeah, like we tend to see like early subs come on in Champions League more so than Premier
Yes,
League.
and Holland has gotten subbed even pre-60 despite scoring like a brace. I remember it was against Young Boys, I think. He scored a brace and Pep took him off before the 60th minute,
Yep.
which is ideal for us in FPL. And obviously, I have to think differently in UCL Fantasy, but that's not the point of discussion here anyway.
No, but I think yeah, that's a reality. I think we should prepare ourselves for, because
Hmm.
I mean, like Liverpool have had 2 tough games, and it's not great that they're gonna have another tough one in 3. You know, maybe we'll change our mind with like Burnley in 4, right? Because he could just suddenly just start firing again. But yeah, like I think if you're thinking that this is the year for his baselines to drop quite considerably, really, like, you don't really need Salah until game week 14. If you
Okay.
even care about it, right? So I personally think it's just 2 free transfers to move a 3-5-2 to a 3-4-3.
Hmm.
Like, why not, keep that as a consideration, basically.
Also, would you say because there are more price efficient midfield options than there are price efficient forward options.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, definitely that's the case.
Yeah.
It's tough with the midfield because I think it's like Bruno, Sar, Kudush, Gakpo. These are the ones that I think are like the most price efficient in my mind. And I
I
would
mean, Gakpo
definitely.
probably we can exclude based on
Okay, okay.
certain
All
things.
right, I see how it
But
is.
I feel you. I feel you. Unless that actually happens, fair. I mean, we can still talk about him for now.
Yeah,
I just feel like when we actually get to the decision point, we won't need to make that decision, and we'll be going back to someone like Bruno, which is, I mean, fair enough.
yeah. I mean, but I mean, honestly, Gakpo is just. I feel pretty bummed that I didn't start the season without him. But like, I don't know if that Isak deal is going through. Who knows? But
Okay.
he's like so clear of worth, Gakpo.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's a million less, right? I think if you give them equal minutes, that is never a decision you need to make. The decision always was: is he going to play the same minutes or even more minutes than Words? He's played more minutes than Words, right? I think across the first two games.
Yeah, and if they actually play the same amount of minutes, like Gakpo's already better.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I do agree with that. Yeah.
So it's like that felt like a bit of an easy bet to make, but then I got debated by some Liverpool fans. It happens, right?
Let's not name names. We know who they are, but
That's
let's
not
not
it
name
is.
names.
They know who they are as well. It's yeah. All right, Sam. Thank you for shouting us out. Nice to see you around. Uh, Mark is going to track us at work tomorrow. FPL Hawks on 50-50 Bruno versus Holland. I mean, you said previously you would have considered going Holland right in the past, but then um, now you're fully analytics,
No,
and you
it's
would
not
go
about
Bruno.
fully analytics. Honestly,
No,
you know
okay,
what?
okay,
I took all emotion out of it. I just took all emotion
okay,
out of it.
fair, right?
It is what it was last season. I can't change the past. I can definitely try to influence the future. So I just, yeah,
Okay,
I just,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good, which is great. Evening kebab. Alex B. Yeah, we are classically late, or we were classically late as usual, just not as late as last week. Christian,
Yes.
nice to see you. Tony as well. Yeah, I actually forgot to mention the Palmer captaincy, but I already kind of wiped it from my mind. Another, I think, great opportunity to absolutely take down the the boring Salah cappers who strap themselves to a Salah captaincy every week. I say this as I started the season with Salah in my team, obviously disgusting, but it is what it is. Marcus said he picked Wirtz in the first place because of this thing called EV. You'll be selling him soon as well because of this thing called EV as well. Trust. Uh,
Yes. And also this thing called price drops.
yeah, yeah, this thing called a double price drop. Yeah. Uh, all right, all right. No, we're actually conjuring a Wirtz Hull versus Arsenal.
Oh
So
my
let
God. Honestly, if he hauls, I'm going to be so mad at myself because I've been so restrained. I have been so restrained until now. I've been wanting to dunk on every Words owner for like such a long time. Who I know, like I don't want to dunk on random people, like people that I know.
yeah,
But the only thing I've held out on is one, if Ekitike suddenly like something happens and his minutes become bad, which they haven't until now.
yeah.
And secondly, obviously, if Words suddenly turns up, which again, please Arsenal, please don't make us eat our words, man. I'm honestly, I'm praying.
I mean, to be fair, if he turns up versus Arsenal, I'll actually be shook. But
Yeah, fair, yeah.
yeah, I do still like
I
Wirtz
mean,
though.
I do, yeah. As a player,
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, but the thing is, there's this thing called Man of the Match in UCL Fantasy, which Words used to absolutely spam,
yeah,
and my hatred stems from those days, from
yeah.
last season, and
Agreed.
so I just feel better. It's not about feeling vindicated because I think like 2 games is not enough to feel vindicated, but I do feel better about it. That's all.
Yeah, like we've won the battle. Let's see.
Yes.
Or I mean, I can always like cling myself to the mast, which is like 90 minutes Watkins blanks, which is so good, right?
Yeah.
Trini,
He says Ibanez and Wijnaldum. So we Saudi Pro League fantasy started today.
oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah, and both of us have played Park the Bus, which is a chip where you get double the points for all your defenders.
Okay.
So we've played a 5-3-2, and Ibanez kept a clean sheet, and Wijnaldum scored. So that's a good start for us.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh,
I
by the way, that's a game where you vote on man of the match,
oh
and
god,
whoever actually gets man of the match gets plus 3 points.
that's crazy.
So you can actually influence your own FPL points or your own fantasy points.
That's actually absurd.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I can imagine I can only hate that more than UCL man of the match, which I already do hate.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Because but the thing is, I think I would be less mad at wisdom of the crowd than I am at these technical observers who
right.
kept giving man of the matches to Pedri because I don't know, like he looks aesthetically good against like someone like Rafinha and Yamal who are absolutely like balling and ended up with no man of the matches for what was the double header? I forget. Was it Benfica? I think it was Benfica against
Yeah,
Benfica.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like,
Uh, just
oh, maybe I don't even know. Let's see.
Yeah,
Grimsby.
Daniel is right, by the way. For the he was
Oh
talking about
yeah,
the view
no,
for
no.
clips.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess Deuce was probably more lively in the first game, anyways. But like generally speaking, I think for an attacking fullback, like we do like that.
yeah.
Let's see. Tom mentioned Grimsby are a very good team. Correct, right? Because
They
yeah,
they beat the mighty Manchester United.
yeah, in 2025. Uh, yeah. I mean, see how I think we kind of discussed the discussion in terms of Cunha as well.
Yeah.
Um, Jay Lee's saying after seeing this season long assist chart, would you start Dio for Richards? Honestly, I'd start Richards because
Oh yeah. I don't think it's close.
unironically, the value of Richards is actually probably getting to slip into defensive contributions, and he
Yes.
actually has a pretty good chance of doing that versus Villa.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you're expecting both teams to lose their cleans, and then Deuce attacking sort of return chances are probably less than Richards' chances of getting a
Yes.
defcon. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Um, Tom.
Lot of Kuna caps in the chat. That's interesting.
Ooh, okay. So I need to reconsider
Yeah.
my life as as I've lived it so far. I just think,
Yeah. Imagine we do like an hour exposition on why we are captaining Bruno over Kuna, and both of us captain Kuna on deadline. That's peak FPL.
that would be crazy work.
Yeah.
Is it plausible? I don't quite think so.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. But I honestly I can't wait for Min's rank to be operational so that I don't look like a clown for owning some of the picks that I currently own. Because every time I run souls, it's like it's just painful work, really, having to adjust everyone. But such is my life.
I mean,
Jayesh,
you have your finger on the pulse. So I mean, that comes with the title, right? You
you hope
you are
so.
one of the best review users I know. So
Thank you. I
it does come
appreciate
with
that.
that.
I did pay you
Yeah.
to say that. So, um, JH said thoughts on just going Palmer to start this week, then Van de Ven Gu to Munoz Mateta next game week with 2 free transfers.
Hmm.
I like that. This is exactly what we were talking about, where
Yeah.
like you could very plausibly attack for much better. And equally, like those two moves, like Munoz Mateta, like those could be Liverpool players, right? Like in a different sort of transfer type of manner. Like I don't think you necessarily even need to shift off VDV. Like right now, actually looking like owning double Spurs defense like looks really tasty. So you might miss on Munoz, which I think is amazing. Like that makes your team amazing for game week 4. But maybe actually if you're lucky and free at 6, I think that's a fantastic move because you don't want those Palace players versus Liverpool necessarily. So yeah, I'm kind of with that general sort of move pattern.
Yeah.
We talked about minutes in terms of Igor Barnes cap this week, given his EO's low. I just think it's so unflattering.
Hmm.
I can't even see him taking penalties.
Yep.
They actually
No
have a lot
set
of
pieces, no
injuries.
penalties. Yeah.
It is an away game as well.
Yep.
I think Barnes
So
is an
Tonali,
super exciting player, and we tend to always say that his underlines are amazing, which obviously makes him like when he has good minutes, like fantastic when he shows up in terms of a model. But I don't know, something about it just makes you think it's not that good compared to some of the other games we have on hand. Like I still think I honestly still think I would go Dango over Sunderland.
and also I think the effect of the away fixture is showing here because I think if it were a home fixture, he would definitely be up there.
Yeah. And do you think there's any sort of like early? I mean, Leeds were generally something else versus Arsenal, but do you think there's any
Hmm.
kind of like they did well in game week 1? Like I kind of think Wolves, West Ham, and Leeds are probably closer as a
So
bunch
team
of
strength.
teams compared to like
Hmm.
Sunderland, Burnley. Um, so maybe there's a little bit of that
That
too.
that is a fair point actually. If you were to ask me which one of the three teams could potentially survive, I would also say Leeds right now, based
Yeah,
on
and we would have said Leeds anyways at the
yeah,
start of the season.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
but
of
it's just
course,
that
yeah.
like that first result seemed promising, and then obviously they kind of just
Hmm.
I don't know
Fell apart. Yeah.
let Arsenal cook them like over and over again. Okay. Um, Milan can't wait to get rid of Watkins. I think that makes sense, but like unfortunately for me, like he's basically just some sort of I don't know. He's in a holding pattern for Gyokeres on 8, and there's not really much I can do about that,
So if I'm
unfortunately.
being honest, so you probably, I mean, you might not see this obviously as someone who hasn't gotten any points from Watkins, but I feel like you are in a much better position than most as someone who owns Watkins, because it is very easy to pivot to someone like Gyokeres
Yep.
without necessarily worrying about team structure. So in essence, you are holding that one spot for whoever is the most expensive forward in your team, which I think is much better in terms of a structure.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Um, let's see.
Why is Conrad talking about why is Marcus so chiseled? What?
This was, I think, on the segment when we were making fun of words again, which is just a
Oh,
weekly segment.
damn.
Um,
Fair enough.
do you think Isak will be a Liverpool player by Monday?
I don't think he has a chance of playing.
No, no, but like, do you think he will be a Liverpool player?
Oh yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Wow,
yeah.
you're like, do I just say like no to be
No, but I
contrarian?
think your pessimism is warranted, right? Given the fact that it's been ongoing for such a long time, there's a lot of reason why it could fall apart. And I mean, Voltamade is still not done, right? It's we are assuming it's done, but there's like no. Has Ornstein tweeted or posted about it? Like, is it like done, or is it like just initial stages of acceptance? Where are we with that?
I don't know.
No, no,
Fine.
I'm just saying like there's still a lot of
Yeah, no,
uncertainty, right? That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get that. Fine. I mean, I'll be with you as well. I think he's a Liverpool player.
Fair.
Thoughts on Ezzy's impact at Arsenal? I think actually, 11ify actually made a very short tweet about the
Hmm.
impact of Eze at Arsenal, and to be honest, I do think it really does move the needle quite a bit for Arsenal this season, and could lead them to a title win. Who knows? That's kind of my take on Eze. I still think you have to believe that he can play on the left, though, to
Yes.
really say that he's going to provide an extra amount of value to this team. Um, because
But I
yeah,
do think like they can, for example, what happened to Odegaard last season, right? Which was like
yeah,
completely mysterious. Arteta never led on to what actually was the reason he kept missing out. I feel like they've covered that sort of a scenario where they have enough depth now where Eze can even step into that sort of a role. I know it's not his best position, but at the same time, I feel like he can do a better job than what someone like Noaneri could do. Because I just think that Noaneri is very raw still.
yeah,
So he probably needs time in a position where there's more space and more time compared to like where Odegaard plays, where it's like it's insanely demanding.
yeah. God, and they've got that Max Salmon guy who generally just
Mm,
looks so good. Like it's silly. Um,
it is.
but sorry, we'll always have Yamal. Thoughts on thought.
Daniel is that's funny. That's funny. Daniel said we could vote in some Bruno returns. That's actually funny, man. That's for the Saudi fantasy thing. I think he said it during that time.
Yeah, no, hundred
That's I
percent.
think the only way to get some Bruno returns, man. Honestly.
Thoughts on Gibbs White if you're
Uh,
free hitting in game week 4, avoids the Arsenal fixture and has what? Like honestly, I just don't think he provides enough open play value. I think he's all
yep.
right, but I don't know. Like I still struggle to believe that Nottingham Forest is a good attacking team. I'm sorry. Um, that's it, really.
Yeah.
I think he's all right, but it's like do I think like I'd rather risk like Gakpo minutes? Yes. Like, would I even like go cheaper and just like go Sar, go Kudush? Those are the types of players I'd
But why
rather
would you
back.
not go Anderson, right? I think if you want to go there, you should at least go Anderson because
Or I'd spend
let's
that
say,
7.5 on a forward at this point in time. Not Gibbs
fair,
White, basically.
fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, fair. I think Chris Wood is definitely a much better option right now.
Yeah, I kind of forgot they're actually the same price, which is just mad. Or is Gibbs White
No, I
7?
mean, Wood rose in price now, so it's
No, oh my, Gibbs White is 7.5. Yeah, it does feel steep.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like the fixtures are amazing. Like I can't deny that. Like there's 3 out of 4 games that are just incredible. So you know what? Like if that's the short term kind of play you're looking for, extremely low EO, I can kind of see it. Fran, why didn't you start with Kukurea? Honestly, I just didn't really see the need to spend on a 6.0. Obviously, he's cooked so far, but it's really that Murillo spot that stunk it up, right? Like I think if I compare it to, let's say, Tarkovsky, who's done like 12 points in this span, like you can see like you don't necessarily need to be invested into a good 6, although some have done really well, like Arsenal players, for example.
Mm.
It's just unfortunately a little bit like how the swings have kind of come, right, with Forest conceding twice in the 2 games, not getting DEFCON, becoming quite possession heavy. Do you think how fast do you think models will adjust to something like that though? I guess you also think that there's not a great correlation between possession and DEFCONs, but like
Yeah, I mean, we
any
could
thought?
definitely see that there's literally nothing to do with it. What I do, I mean, I do see promise in what you have been espousing
Hmm.
since preseason, which is average, what average a team's average defensive contributions that
Yeah.
they're playing.
Yeah.
So I think that is something I mean, I'm trying to think of a way to test it out. W- Right now, I'm thinking of a few things because I completely forgot about that side project where I was trying to see if I could perhaps at least prove to a certain extent, because I don't think you can definitively prove it, but you can show empirical evidence for it. And if we could do that, then the Bournemouth hypothesis could actually become a Bournemouth theory. So, for anyone who doesn't know, Bournemouth people say theory, but I said hypothesis is basically because Bournemouth are like there are a lot of turnovers in Bournemouth's games that the opposition teams' players end up getting more defensive contributions. And it has happened in the first 2 games, so maybe it will continue.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's also actually just generally just benefited Bournemouth, to be honest. Like
Yeah, for sure.
I
Yeah.
think, but yeah, like for example, like Agbadu benefited this week. I think last week Virgil benefited.
Mm.
Um, so that's kind of the working theory we
Dude,
have so far.
Virgil has been on a mad one, right? I mean,
Yeah,
even for his
36.
like
36. He
what?
leads. He leads by like a country mile. But I guess that's also what happens when you just play like in such a poor manner as well. Like for a team like Liverpool,
Fair,
like there's honestly
fair.
not much of a
Yeah.
semblance to control right now.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
like if you want to like sweep up for Konate's mistakes every single time, obviously that means that
that's
you
true.
have to
Yeah,
do more work, I guess. Yeah, makes sense.
yeah. Monk's thoughts on Paqueta. I think he's still wonderful. Would you be tempted to move? I wouldn't be interested. Ooh, move both Palmer and Paqueta. I I think he's still very good in terms of what you want from a 6 million player. Paqueta, that is.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I guess what the question is, how is he going to be impacted by some of the midfield signings as well? I feel like a forward is more likely going to lose their minutes in the interim, and I kind of think you want to wait for Somerville to come back to kind of see how that impacts the team fully. I'd probably keep Paqueta for now. I'd probably move Palmer, but if you want to do a double move, like for example, like if you're like what we know, Jack, for example, he's done Mitoma Palmer to Cunha Mbeumo, but he's pretty much dead ending his team. Like if you do a double midfield move now, you almost have to have a lot of confidence in the picks you're moving into. I like Kudus, I like Sar. I don't love Cunha to be honest that much long term, unless you're gonna like slice in a bit of chip strategy, like 3 at 4 in my case.
Hmm.
But then yeah, like if you're making 2 free transfers now, I just don't know. I don't know if I actually really want to wait. I would want to wait for Gakpo, honestly. I think you're leaving Evie on the table if you just suddenly make 2 moves for a midfielder and then you don't leave any room for Gakpo next week, or suddenly you have to go Gakpo anyways, which I don't really
Hmm.
like. I would kind of think about that. And that probably means if you want to do it, like do a Palmer out move and then leave yourself with the the room to upgrade Paqueta the week after. Ornstein is posted about Waltermad. Andrew says
Yeah.
he hopes Eze starts. I think he starts. I'd kind of be shocked if he didn't, but then at the same time, team had a pretty good performance last time out. There were some stinkers. Let's see. Should Arteta get the
I guess
sack?
the left wing position is kind of there for him, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm assuming Madueke shifts to the right, and so there's that left wing spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, at the bare minimum, it's like your competition, I guess, in the short term is really just going to be
Martinelli.
like Trossard, Martinelli. That's it. Martinelli didn't even come on in that game. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
And so
gosh, yeah.
finally, markets have actually pulled his numbers because they kept going down as soon as like the more the AJ rumors strengthened, the further his goal share went down, and finally it just disappeared because obviously if he's not even going to play it, then they're not going to bother pricing it
Exactly.
in.
Should Arteta get the sack if he doesn't win the title? I feel like he has to come close. That's it. Like he has to be like 1 or 2 points away, and it has to be a race the whole way through. Or yeah, I kind of think
I don't know, man. I mean,
you're saying no, or you're saying yes.
no. I'm saying I agree with you when you said that this could be actually Arsenal's year, given that the Eze transfer really shifts that needle.
And I guess we're not that impressed by Liverpool so far, right?
And Liverpool's defensive problems and City still being kind of
City.
chaotic. I don't know what kind of chaos City have invested into, by the way. I just don't understand what they are after, which is a very rare thing for me to say. Well, I have never said that about City for a long time now, but there's just so much chaos right now. And fair, I got blinded by the Wolves game, but at the same time, I didn't react to it in any particular manner. So I think I can reserve my judgment and reserve the right to change my opinion on that as well. So I don't know. Maybe if we expect them to win and they don't end up winning, is it going to be enough to sack him? That's kind of the only reason I see why he would get sacked.
Fair. I mean, I guess their
Yeah.
Champions League campaign also plays a part in it. So that
Fair
like
enough.
if yeah,
Oh, let me check
I
that
feel like
actually. I forgot to check.
if it's a mixture of doing poorly on both, and what I mean by poorly is not coming close to the title race at all, and then finishing second like they did last year, and then also an earlier than semi-final exit in the Champions League, I think he definitely should be sacked. Like if those two conditions are met for me, if he overachieves in one, then
These
fine.
fixtures are insane, bro. If they don't qualify for the top eight, I mean, what are we even doing here? It's literally Bayern and Inter. That's it. I mean, there is Atletico, but I mean, I think they have a good chance of beating this Atletico team. I just don't see them as.
Atleti are horrendous, by the way.
Exactly.
Like I'm sorry, but Simeone is washed.
He is.
I'm prepared to say it. He's washed.
Yeah, I mean, this current Atletico team is washed. I don't think Simeone himself is, but I think this current
I think he's washed. I think he's
really
washed. I'll say it. Yeah.
Oh wow, okay, nice. I'm going to trust you. I don't watch that much La Liga, so I'm going to trust you on that.
Yeah. Do you think Weibo says do I think I should sell JP once CL starts due to minutes? Not really, honestly. I kind of think JP is like a bit of a wait and see, anyways, for now. Because like he just benefits in so many ways. I think even that latest start was pretty promising in terms of like positionally how flexible he is, and honestly, Delap isn't close to him. That's my take on Delap. I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a downer on Delap, but yeah, I would probably hold JP this like whole way through, like unless there's some glaring minutes issues. Like if you finally see that first benching, like sure. But if they're gonna do like minutes where he plays like 70 or 90 and he kind of ebbs and flows between the two, then he's never gonna be a sell.
You know what Delap reminds me of is the pace merchant lineup for AS Roma from FIFA.
Okay, yeah. So, I can kind of see it. Yeah. Like he's missing a lot of qualities. Obviously,
or even Atalanta, right? With Duvan Zapata, Muriel, and I forgot who the third one was. They had an insanely pacey lineup in FIFA once upon a time. I forgot who the third one was. There's like all three of them were like 90, 92 plus pace for Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, like he worked his way towards a lot of goals last season in Ipswich. Like
Yeah.
kind of by himself. But I still feel that way about that man. But yeah, who do you guys prefer, Mateta or Wood? I would say Mateta, but Wood is still very, very good, and I think free at 6 probably comes into it as well, and free at 4. Like I think Wood is almost perfect for free at 4. Mateta is actually perfect for free at 6. My answer would actually be depends on the chip shot you're going for.
I agree.
Okay. Kudus and Johnson. I think Johnson's clearly overperformed on goals, but
Yes.
like let's be honest with Johnson as well. Like he's always been impressive because I remember actually 2 seasons ago I was laughing at the Salah light comparisons, and obviously Salah's become a tremendous creative player. So obviously like the comparisons are very much like an early day Salah, I guess, if you want to do that. But yeah, Johnson is a bit of an XG merchant.
Yeah.
I would just back Kudus though. Like there's so many little things like that can kind of help with bonus. He's still getting shots off like in his position right now, even though you can say it's maybe a little less offensive than the Mbomo in terms of like I guess his shot locations and stuff. But yeah, I think like with set pieces, with bonus potential, with minutes when let's say Champions League comes into play, like I just feel like Kudus is a bit more safe in so many respects, and the cost difference I think is a big part because I actually don't see them as hugely different from each other.
Do,
So
do
yeah,
you not think though that someone like Brennan Johnson's, even though we know that his XG per 90 is pretty good, do we not think that it's also a result of his inconsistent minutes? Because I always think that players like these, you can really never make a judgment until they play regular minutes, and then
how
you
many
truly
minutes does he have to
understand.
play? I guess is my question.
Okay, let me rephrase the distribution of his minutes.
Hmm.
It's like, he plays,
Subs.
let's say, three, four
Yeah.
nineties, and then all of a sudden he's relegated to the bench. Then he comes back and plays 3 to 4 nineties, something like that.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's not the greatest way, but also there is no other metric for us to judge him on. So we have to consider at the end of the day in PXG per 90
The
as we see it.
the only thing for him is I think over the last 2-3 years he's played enough minutes for me to say he's like just good at it. I don't know.
Maybe last season is what I'm thinking of, where it's like his minutes were extremely inconsistent with
Yeah, but
Ange's
he still
final
played
season.
like 2,000 minutes last year,
Hmm.
and then still averaged
Okay,
like
maybe that's not that bad then. If it's 2000 is like out of, what is it, 3420 is the maximum, so
yeah,
that's not
and
that bad.
yeah, not many attackers ever break 3,000 really. Like
That's fair. That is actually fair. Yes. Yeah.
I just think yeah, like if over 2-3 seasons he's averaged like 0.44, like fair play in the Premier League as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, he played for a much inferior side in the Nottingham Forest of that time, which
he,
was
yeah,
not even that competitive, right? You would say.
yeah. I mean, another thing too is like generally he's still young. Um, he just really is completely devoid of any creative quality. But
Mm.
he does play football and he does take shots and he can get
Yeah.
fantasy assists.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of I would say I like Kudus a lot more. Even if we went back to minutes at the end of the day. Um, Marvin, our Hall of Famers here. He's got Jorginho, Palmer, and Gakpo. Hold, very very nice. He wanted Gordon. Semenyo's burnt him too many times last season, but he could be the new Mbemo. Who would you bring in for Palmer? I guess you're probably seeking for a bit of a long term move, like Sar is interesting because you already have Gakpo.
Yeah. I think Sar would be my choice as well. It's pretty clear.
Kudus
Now that
is
their midweek games are out of the way, at least for a short while.
yeah. I mean, like does Kudus come into the equation as well?
I mean, do we not think that even though Kudus I expect to start every single game,
Yeah.
I expect his minutes to be impacted, right? For Champions League. Even though they have the easiest draw of any Premier League team, it's
Mm-hmm.
that they still need to finish in top eight, and it's not going to be easy.
Um.
I mean, they
Yeah.
don't need to finish in top eight, but I'm assuming they want to finish in top eight. That's kind of. what I'm thinking.
Fine. I hear you out. Then maybe
I just think like Sar is like the perfect opportunity right now.
okay. I'll disagree with you and I'll say Kudus is my one. I think they're both great.
Fair.
Um,
Fair.
and I own Sar by the way, so I hope
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I hope that helps. Ornstein Bomba maybe wants to leave on loan.
Yeah,
Is it a,
I read that while you were talking about Mateta Wood. So,
how do you feel?
eh, no, I mean, if we are still apparently we are rejecting that.
Okay.
So it doesn't. I mean, I obviously I respect Ornstein a lot, but I mean that is sort of like a no news. What there's literally nothing changing based on that. So
Fair. I mean, yeah, I mean that's
and of course it's pretty fantasy irrelevant. Oh no. Apparently Bruno was supposed to compete with him, right? So let's boost Bruno's minutes to 95 now, based on that news.
I mean, look, fair enough. I think it was always just gonna happen with the way Amram's kind of treated him so far. I don't know.
No, man. I'm not a fan of radicalization of any kind in terms of like if you want to take these kinds of decisions, I would rather you have some kind of concrete plan in mind and not just go scorched earth for just because you've done it before. I don't think okay, I'm not going to claim like I know something that Amorim doesn't. I just feel like both of us are might be equally lacking in certain aspects of managing Manchester United.
Okay, fair play. Um,
Daniel got it spot on by the way. Gervinho, Ibarbo, and Dumbia.
yeah, that's the Roma setup. But
Yeah,
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 I think
yeah. But
Mo
Ilicic is not, bro.
no
Ilicic is like
no Ilicic is
Ilicic could barely run.
your Atalanta player.
No, no, but Ilicic could. What Ilicic never had that kind of pace.
Uh, yeah, he was always like he must have been in the 70s or something.
Yeah, exactly,
But
100%. I forgot who the third player was, man. It's so irritating. Was it?
I think I mean I don't think I mean until Lookman joined like that was there that much pace.
No, no, no. I thought about Lukman. Obviously, he was at Fulham and Leicester. Uh,
All right, I'll have to think about this like in my
yeah,
mind.
this is going to
Oh
gnaw at me for
wait,
a
sorry.
long
So
time.
who did you mention so far? You said Muriel and
Luis
Zapata, right?
Muriel and Duvan Zapata. Yes.
I just can't think of anyone else who's like fast. Uh, Anyways, um,
Yeah. If we think about it, I'll post it in the comments like I usually do.
okay, sounds good. Maybe you just forgot an aspect of football history, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Um, nah. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Any other kind of things you wanted to close on?
No, I think one thing is very clear, and that's it's not as boring as last week in terms of decisions.
Yep.
But also, I feel like all of your decisions should now be ruled by what chip strategy you want to go for. So I think the time to be chip agnostic is pretty much over, and you need to commit to some sort of chip strategy, at least for one, if not all. Like
Yeah.
I can, it's very easy for me to say based on the fact that I don't have bench boost. But even if you do have bench boost, I think it's time to plan for something, if not precisely when.
Yeah, or I mean, to be honest, you can stay flexible, but which means probably you're delaying your chips, right? Which is still like
Yep,
actually a chip strategy. Is to kind of
that's
support
fair.
your point.
Yeah,
You know, like if you're making a
yeah,
move
yeah,
like
yeah.
myself, for example, with Cunha this week, like I'm almost accepting that I'm gonna free at 4,
Yes.
if I can put it that way. So yeah, let's see how things unfold.
Do we do so? Okay, again, this is a very subjective question to an objective sort of fact. Do we think Palmer is going to drop once? Because I know that the thresholds go up, right? If you're injured, so
Uh, all right,
for
that's
a
it.
price drop.
Yeah, fine, good point. I think he will if he's out for the game.
Ah, okay, fair. Hmm.
I Yeah, because
Because if
if
he is not ruled out, that
mm,
will remove the flag, and so he'll be price locked. So it's actually entirely dependent on what Maresca says tomorrow.
Wait, sorry. So if he's ruled out, he gets red
Yeah,
flagged, and then
which is fine. That means he will
yeah.
continue to drop because people will sell him and he'll probably drop in price. But if he is declared, there is like, okay, he needs to be like positively declared fit, not just that, oh, we don't know, we are going to check.
Mm,
But if let's say Maresca says he could play or something like that, and they remove the flag, that would price lock him. So it's going to depend on what Maresca says tomorrow.
yeah, I kind of feel like Palmer owners will get away with it,
I
which
think
is
I feel
fine.
that as well, but
Which is
it's fine.
fine.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think, yeah. I mean,
like very very sensible.
I
Um,
was mad that words owners were getting away with it, but they didn't. So I think now I'm at peace.
I mean, it's about time they get two price drops, right? Let's see how
Yes,
Wirtz is
yes,
doing.
yes.
Right.
Just push it. Just do your thing.
I won't do my thing. Not again. Nah, I feel like yeah, Wirtz is yeah, he's good to go. Good to go for another price drop. So I'm sold.
Nice.
Thanks for the
Imagine
memories.
buying words for 8.3 against Burnley.
Yeah, I might actually be there. Who knows?
Yeah, same. I might be there.
I think there's even a world where I go Cunha back to Palmer. No joke.
If you don't free hit,
Yeah.
hmm. You're not the first person to say this to me, by
Okay.
the way.
And who would be the first?
I completely am spacing on that, but I'll text you who it was once I remember.
Fair.
Yeah, because I discussed transfer plans with someone, and even they had the exact same thing in mind of going back to Palmer.
Yeah. I don't think it's the
And
silliest thing in the world, but I do think actually you don't really need Palmer if suddenly like let's say like Gakpo's great, Ekitike is great. Like if Isak doesn't happen, like you probably do want to spread the funds at that point in time because I think it's still better use of
no,
value.
but see, my overarching question to you is,
Yeah.
if okay, fine, you want to delay chips, like you said, that is technically a chip strategy as well.
Yeah.
What are you anticipating is going to happen to like get like all your chips concentrated towards the end of the first half?
No, I agree.
Like, that's the sort of thing I'm struggling to understand. And again, I am going to be biased for now because I don't need to think about bench boost.
Yeah, you've already
So I
popped it.
am definitely thinking about simpler chip strategies.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'm really struggling to understand what's the use of keeping everything towards the back end of the first half of the season. But again, there could be, because obviously some insane postponements and stuff like that could happen. But yeah, I don't know what the chances of that are.
Yeah, I mean the thing with Palmer too is I think a lot of us will buy back around like 8 because
Yes.
he's like probably the best captaincy on 9 and 11. So we'll see how that goes. Um well actually yeah, because he's what like it's like I think the Sunderland game and the Wolves game, both at home, for our man Palmer. So
Hmm.
it's I think on one hand, if you're almost committing to I guess go without Palmer for now, you don't really need him until 9. So that gives you a lot of breathing room, which is nice. But then at the same time, you can just say, I want to remove as many problems as I have. Just bring him back. In my case, potentially, we'll see.
By the
Uh,
way, one last thing before we close, which is Chelsea played Conference League last season, right? And I think that
hmm,
has probably warped our expectations to a degree where
his minutes,
we
yeah.
don't even consider Europe.
Well,
I
they
think
actually
this
have more
season
depth
we
this
will.
season, anyways, right? So
Yes,
yeah,
correct. No, I'm saying, like, for example, for someone like Palmer, I would think that around those games, if they are critical games, he could definitely get subbed earlier. I'm not saying
true.
he's not going to start. I think he will definitely start, but minutes at the end are going to win out, right? So we'll have to see that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. Last
Yeah,
question is: would you play Rodon or Fulkrug? So that's Rodon versus Newcastle and Fulkrug,
Newcastle.
who might not even play a football match fully. Is there a possibility that Fulkrug doesn't even start? Like I mean, because I know that the way that West Ham set up versus Wolves, they played with Bowen up top, right?
Hmm, they did.
With Paqueta basically, but obviously with three midfielders that they would never field in a Premier League game. I guess if you want to put it like that. I would probably play Rodon, to be honest.
And by the way, they lost at the end. So it,
Ye-
I mean,
Yeah,
it's all kind of.
I guess
much, I would
if
say.
you think Fulkrug starts, you should probably go Fulkrug, but I think there's a possibility he doesn't. So maybe just
Even if he starts, like, would you not cap his minutes at like 60 or around
yeah,
65 or
yeah.
something like that?
I'd probably go Roden then. Yeah,
I
close
would
one.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Especially if look, no one is signing for Min. I can say that now. There's no
Yes,
way.
I agree with you.
There's
There's
no
just no way,
way.
man. Come on, man. Please, 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 please. It's actually ridiculous.
He's too good. I don't know. Maybe I'm. I mean, the
I mean,
unfortunate thing is he
have
still doesn't start for Barcelona, but he's just generally too good.
no, but would you agree with me that someone like him would definitely prefer to stay in that team still because of what the potential he sees in that team, right? I mean, you would still want to win stuff.
Yeah, I hear you.
And again, I don't know how much. I think Flick rates him, by the way. Like I think he's
Yeah,
played him whenever he gets a chance to play him. It's just like you said, like whenever the full team is fit, there's no room for him, which is kind of sad.
yeah, fine. I mean, it is because actually, like, yeah, Olmo has created an issue in that team.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Any thoughts on Pedro Neto? Played 90 minutes in the first two games. I just think he's such an underwhelming player when it comes to underlyings. I have no interest
It's
in him.
actually insane.
Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, he's just so underwhelming. I don't know. Like I just think long term he shouldn't be starting games consistently.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But even in the interim, he's quite expensive. Like he's 7.0. Like at that rate, like like Semenyo is a 90-minute player who is just so much better than him. So
Yeah.
like I don't know. Like you'll never have to even deal with Semenyo being a sell, quite honestly. Whereas with the Neto case, it's like
Well,
I can.
Garnacho is almost done, by the way.
Oh
If you
yeah,
want to add
Oh my
fuel to the
god.
fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine. You know what? That's case
Yeah.
closed. Basically, forgot
Yeah.
about Garnacho because I really do not rate him as well. But yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right.
uh,
I think we're good.
yes.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys for the next FPL Script. Thank you guys for tuning in for the stream. Lots turning out. And if you're on audio platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, etc., please do feel free to rate us a 5 out of 5. And hope you have the best of luck in Gameweek 3.